A lot of people out there still buying food to put on the Christmas table. Others might be surprised at some of the prices. Inflation has certainly bitten. There is an inquiry into supermarket pricing. So what will that actually change? Joining me live now is Deputy Nationals Leader Perin Davey. Thanks for your time. So this Senate inquiry, you want to talk about prices of supermarkets and look at the profit margins, and a lot of people would say fair enough, but what does that mean at the end? If you find they're higher than they used to be, those profit margins, can you actually do anything about it?
Well, I mean, what we know in Australia and what we've been talking about in the Nationals for a long time is the strength of the supermarket duopoly. And what we want to make sure of, and by using this Senate inquiry, we can have a look at what the practices are for the supermarkets. Is their strength increasing? What is the differential between what they're paying the farmers and what the consumers are paying? Sometimes, and we know the supermarkets have increasingly gone towards direct engagement, direct contracts with farmers, but is that paying off for the farmers, or is that having a negative impact? We need to understand what the impact of the supermarket practices is on both the farmers but also consumer prices to make sure it's fair and equitable across the whole supply chain.
But when you say fair and equitable, what is not fair then? What's the margin that's not fair for consumers if this comes out in this inquiry?
Well, what we want to make sure of is that the supermarkets aren't using their strength as price givers to undermine the profitability of our agricultural sector at the same time as that they are making increasing profits to distribute purely to their shareholders. What is the perfect balance? That is something that we hope to be able to look at through this inquiry and help to determine.
You're going to be realistic though. I mean, whatever you find out of this, there's not obviously, genuine cartel behaviour, but beyond that, even if you think things are a bit higher than they should be, you can't do anything about it other than political pressure. That's the reality, isn't it?
Well, there's also a lot of conjecture about what is genuine cartel behaviour. Is this the supermarkets absolutely gouging? Or when we come down to it, the supermarkets are also facing increased cost pressures, including increasing the rising cost of power. That's impacting on our supermarkets. So it's about looking at the whole supply chain, the whole sort of balance book of all parties to make sure that it is reasonable business. I mean, it is reasonable for all businesses, be they small or large, to make a profit, but how much of a profit, and how are they doing that? How are they getting that profit? If they're getting that profit by undermining the profitability of other businesses like farmers, like logistics companies who also need to make a profit, then that should be called into question and that should be in the public domain.
All right, we'll see what it comes up with. We've had some strong comments from the opposition after a story yesterday on the Prime Minister. He's off on a holiday, he's wine tasting, including some pretty nice drops. I think one of them retails at $500 or so. Is that really a problem? What sin has he committed here, if anything?
Look, no one is actually calling him out on having a holiday. I think the issue is how in touch is he with the real pressures facing Australians if he's happy to post about sipping a $500 bottle of wine while the rest of Australia are actually struggling to put ham on the table this Christmas. Maybe there's certain things that you don't try and push in people's faces and boast about while you're on holiday. If you're on holiday, do we need to know everything that you're doing in every step of the way? How much of a holiday is it if he's out there pumping it out?
His post didn't say, here's a $500 bottle. He said, here I am at this winery. And then eventually the story became, here are the wines. Here's the wines they do tastings on. So he didn't actually say that. But he might have also just been wanting to show people he's holidaying in Australia. It's often a question journalists ask. And there he was showing it versus another particular Prime Minister who was overseas. So again, is that fair enough?
Yes, another particular Prime Minister who also tried to keep his holiday under wraps but got outed by other people. And I think the other
you're saying on the one
Prime Minister,
it got outed.
know who you're talking about.
That's the whole. Yeah, well, that's the whole point, isn't it? So
he got outed, but I think
Anthony
his
Albanese
error
is
of
showing where
judgment
he's
was
going.
not. No, I think the other Prime Minister's error of judgment was not actually saying, I'm on holiday for a week. Albo, I didn't read that he was on holiday for a week until we saw that he was on holiday for a week. So did he make that public announcement that he demanded of Scott Morrison? Did Anthony Albanese put out the pre-holiday public announcement saying, I'm going on holiday, Mark Dreyfus is my acting, and yes, I'll be holidaying in Australia? I mean, that's the question here, holding everyone to the same standards. Yes, Gomo went overseas.
Well, we had as soon as he went overseas,
was probably not making
we had the notification,
announcement.
I can tell you, that Richard Marles was acting Prime Minister. So it wasn't a secret that he was off on leave.
Well, then that's good. So, but as you just said, he went overseas. He didn't go overseas. He went to Western Australia, and
Sorry, not
Western
overseas,
Australia
on
is a
leave.
beautiful place.
Apologies.
And I commend anyone for going on holidays anywhere in Australia.
Yeah, no, apologies, I misspoke. Maybe I was thinking back to Federation when it really wasn't part of Australia. All right. Perin Davey, appreciate your time today.
No problem. Thank you.
Enjoy your break, and we'll speak next year.